Hello and welcome to NatureLabs' coverage of the 2025 Canadian federal election. As always, we endeavor to go beyond the news to define those hard-to-understand terms and contextualize what tonight means in relation to what you're learning in class and what it might mean for your future. But before we get to the federal election, first we want to add our condolences to those who lost a loved one or member of their community in the tragic event that transpired on Saturday night in Vancouver at the Lapu Lapu Festival. This was an unspeakable and horrific tragedy, and while we're fortunate in this country that mass murders such as this one rarely transpire, when they do, they leave a lasting scar on our nation. We stand with the Filipino community during this impossible hour and promise to do our part to make sure that those who were lost are never forgotten. In terms of this election, it will be interesting to see how Saturday's tragedy impacts people's choices at the ballot box today. An event such as this one can fundamentally shift the ballot question. And of course, if you've watched our video, you know what a ballot question is. But as a recap, it's that central driving motivator that causes voters to cast their ballot for one party or another. Now, for a long time in the lead up to this campaign, we thought this election would be about change. That's been the central ballot question of so many elections in Western democracies over the last couple of years. But of course, then events transpired. Incumbent Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned, and US President Donald Trump was elected to the White House in the United States. He proceeded to launch a trade war against so many nations, but specifically against Canada, and he added to that threats to annex our nation. Those threats at the beginning of this campaign seemed like they would be the central ballot question. Which party leader was best equipped to negotiate with Donald Trump and address his threats? But as the campaign transpired and Donald Trump quieted down a bit, the new ballot questions seemed to emerge around issues of cost of living. Now, of course, Trump's threats are deeply interconnected with the cost of living crisis. His threats are destabilizing our economy. They're already causing job losses, they're driving inflation, and they might even push our country into a recession, which is basically a prolonged economic down period. But the cost of living issues, how can we afford homes, how can we afford food, those didn't just come on the scene with Trump. They've been around in Canada pretty much since COVID. So for some Canadians, it's a mix of issues centering around the economy, Trump, and cost of living. But for other Canadians, increasingly it seems the ballot question is simply cost of living separate from Trump. Now, after what transpired on Saturday, the question is, will the ballot question shift yet again and become about crime and safety? Because when a traumatic event such as this one happens, of course, for some people, they start looking at what leader and what political party is best equipped to make sure that a tragedy such as this one doesn't transpire again. Will that shift the ballot question today? Of course, for 7.3 million Canadians, that's not possible because they already cast their ballots in record numbers as part of advanced polling, something that's allowed in our democracy. But for the rest of Canada who will cast their ballot today, of course, we'll find out very shortly what that ultimate ballot question is, because that driving motivator will probably determine who wins the election tonight and gets to form our next government. Of course, the other major issue we're looking for tonight is which party gets to form what kind of government. Because as you know, in our country, we don't vote for our prime minister. We vote for our local representative of a political party. The party with the most seats in the House of Commons gets to form government, but of course the party that gets the majority of seats in the House of Commons, they get to form what's known as a majority government. They get to govern for the next 4 years. But often in our country's history, parties aren't able to secure a majority government. They have the most seats in the House of Commons, but not necessarily a majority of seats in the House of Commons. In those cases, as you know, it becomes a minority government. They require the support of other parties, opposition parties, like say the NDP or the Bloc Québécois, to remain in power and pass their policies. They might not last for 4 years in that position, but they can govern for a while. So the big question in tonight's election, in a tight race between two major parties, the Conservatives and the Liberals, is which party is able to not only secure the most seats and form government, but is a party, one of those two parties, able to secure the most seats and secure a majority government, giving them a stronger negotiating position with Donald Trump and more stability for our country during uncertain times. That, of course, remains to be seen, and we'll see how it transpires tonight. But in case you're wondering a bit more about why we're having an election, what the stakes are, what the issues are, and what the candidates stand for, well, of course, we've done a video to help make sure that you're up to speed before the ballots close in a few hours.